Welcome to Coryell Roofing's Setting the Standard podcast, another episode. This is a fantastic one. Super excited to have a couple guests here today, all the way from the state of Tennessee, the great state of Tennessee. We're going to be talking about purchasing cooperatives and state applicable financing options. That's hard to say. And so from Tennessee, we've got Dr. Dale Lynch. And Dr. Lynch has spent his entire career serving others in education, over 30 years as an administrator, as a superintendent, and then also an executive director for the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents. He is passionate about what he does, has influence over legislation, and has served the state of Tennessee well for many years. So we're honored to have you here today, Dr. Lynch.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. We also have Mark Treece, CPA, who Mark has dedicated his life and his career to helping government entities all across the state of Tennessee, counties, municipalities, cities, schools, with understanding their options as a comptroller representative. So he worked for the comptroller of the state of Tennessee for over 30 years. And now in retirement, Mark is actually guiding Coryell Roofing alongside Dr. Dale Lynch with helping us navigate these systems in the state of Tennessee so we can better serve the schools. So thank you both for being here. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
Is it great to be in Texas?
It is.
Yeah, it's a big state. But there's nothing like the state of Tennessee, right?
Correct.
So we're going to talk a little bit today about purchasing cooperatives and state applicable finance options and just understanding what that impact means to the state of Tennessee. But before we dive into that, Dr. Lynch, tell us a little bit about your background. Why did you decide to get into education?
Well, first of all, in regards to education itself, I think it brought me in more than I chose it. I think it chose me. And every day that I was either a teacher or a coach or administrator, as a school superintendent or director, and then working with TOS, it seemed like every opportunity that I was given, it just allowed me to have and build more relationships with people who've impacted my life in a great way, whether it be students or whether it be teachers or principals or parents. And in the last decade of my career, it was school superintendents or directors. So I feel very fortunate and blessed.
Now, how many years did you actually spend as a administrator or a superintendent in schools?
So about 20 years.
20 years.
Okay. 16 years in my last superintendency, which is now home, which is Morristown, Tennessee, and very fortunate there to have a great board of education, a great community, and an incredible school system. So I retired from that and then went to TOS, the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents.
And you were an executive director for TOS for 7 years, is that correct?
Almost 7 years, yes. Decided it was time for me. My father was ailing, so I needed to go back home and spend some quality time with him. And I had the opportunity to do that before he passed away. But yes, that was probably the highlight of my career because I got to be very close with school superintendents across the state, and also had the opportunity through our association to work with other state directors across the country. So feel very fortunate and blessed to be surrounded by people who I felt like were, smarter and better than I was, but they helped guide and lead me in my decision making.
That's got to be really rewarding to be able to live out your career serving students and then guide others in how to serve students and the state as well. So congratulations to you. And you've got a beautiful wife, Shannon, in Morristown, Tennessee. Tell us about Morristown.
It's an incredible community, great community. It's one that has changed a lot. It was not home for us and really wasn't planning on being home for us. Shannon and I have two sons, and we also have 2 daughter-in-laws and 4 grandkids now.
Wow. And
so that has been home, and it will continue to be home for us. And Morristown was a manufacturing, a lot of furniture industry years and years ago, but it now has changed into a thriving community of tier 3 automotive community. And a lot is happening in Morristown. Great schools, great people that support public education.
That's awesome. And so you're from Eastern Tennessee, and a lot of people have the mentality of all of Tennessee is Nashville. They just think, well, when you think of Tennessee, you think of Music City and Nashville. But there's a whole other side of Tennessee, isn't there? Eastern Tennessee, and beautiful terrain. What have you enjoyed living there and having a home there?
Yeah. No question that Tennessee is broken up really into three grand divisions. You have West Tennessee, which is Shelby County and Memphis, which is obviously known for the blues, and then you have Middle Tennessee or Nashville area, and Nashville has just grown beyond measure. And then you have Eastern Tennessee, which is what we think of as the Smoky Mountains, and I think some people may know about Dolly Parton.
Might, yeah.
So if you haven't ventured east of Nashville, you need to do that for sure. It's beautiful.
Well, it's gorgeous. We love visiting in it, and it's just a privilege to get to hear your stories about it. And we've also got another representative that works for Coryell Roofing and Sales, Jake Green, who was actually a student at Morristown when you were a superintendent there, correct?
Yes. So, Chris, when you approached me first about being a part of the Coryell team and Coryell family, which was exciting, and then allowing me the opportunity to introduce you to some people who I thought would help impact our state. Jake was the first one that I thought of, and him being and living and residing now in Nashville is a plus. But there's nobody like Jake Green, and I say that with great admiration for him. He's just an incredible young man with a bright future, who I think never met a stranger, and he's a hard worker. And I feel blessed and proud to be working with him.
He's dynamic for sure, and Jake's a musician, and he's actually played on Broadway and had a pretty amazing career. So we're honored to have him, but even more so, we're honored to have you. Your credentials. I can honestly say, in the time I've spent in the state of Tennessee with you and our team, I've never met anybody that didn't have the utmost respect for you and all of the education environments that we've been in. So it's really a privilege to have you as an education consultant helping Coryell Roofing help others in the state of Tennessee. So
thank you. It's an honor. It's an honor to be a part of Coryell, and every single day that I have had that opportunity, I continue to count my blessings. So
absolutely. And then you brought to us somebody so dynamic that I can't even believe is a part of our team, and Mark Treece, a certified public accountant that worked in the state of Tennessee in the comptroller's office for over 30 years. Mark, what was that like, working for the comptroller's office?
It was busy. It was always deadlines. Things always had to get done on time and get reported. We audit 92 of the 95 counties in the state, so there was always something to do. We always stayed busy.
And you worked mainly with county, city governments, business officials, schools, is that correct?
Yes, mostly counties and county school boards, departments.
Okay.
Yes.
Was that challenging over the 30 years, seeing laws change and purchasing mechanisms change? Has it been pretty consistent, or has it been a challenging thing to keep up with?
Oh, it's always challenging. Legislation changes every year. Laws get tweaked and changed that expand their opportunities to do cooperative purchasing, for one example. So there's always something changing. There's always a reporting requirement or something from an accounting standard. There's always a change every year.
And to my knowledge and my experience in the state of Tennessee, purchasing can be a little bit different and difficult at times. It's for a government entity. It's structured a little bit different than most other states. And so you have to know how to navigate that, right?
Correct. It's a permissible statute. You can only do what the statutes permit you to do. So if it's not specifically addressed in the statute, then you're not allowed to do it in Tennessee. So it's
that right there is exactly why Dr. Dale Lynch said, Mark, we need you on this team because we need guidance in making sure that we're educating our districts that we work with, all the educators out there and the city and county governments, guiding them in the right path to be able to make purchasing decisions. So thank you for all of your guidance and your wealth of knowledge. It's great to have you on our team.
I'm glad to be here. Very enjoyable so far.
So tell me, where do you reside in Tennessee?
I reside in Morristown as well.
Same town?
Yes. My wife was a 30-year educator, worked most of her career when Dr. Lynch was director of schools. I have 2 daughters, 2 son-in-laws, and 1 granddaughter. So
you're busy too.
We are. We have a busy household.
Well, that's exciting, and I'm sure you enjoy Eastern Tennessee just as much as Dr. Lynch.
Oh yeah, that's been my home for my whole life. So
I'm kind of envious of y'all's draw.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma and Texas definitely has a draw, but y'all have one all to itself, and it's
I would like
fantastic.
to give it away sometimes.
No, it's great. So, as you've worked with entities for the past 30 years and guiding them into purchasing decisions, what challenges did you see that they faced in selecting a contractor, in selecting whether it's a turf football field or whether it's a roof for a courthouse? What challenges did you see that they would have?
It was a long process. They had to bid the project out. They had to take the lowest bidder unless they could justify not taking that lowest bidder. So it was always a stressful time for them, a stressful situation. It took a while to get those bids done and those projects completed. So it was a long, slow process.
So it's a stressful time in any administrator's life when they have to make a purchasing decision. They've got to navigate all the challenges that come with that. But the end result is you want to be able to make a purchase that serves your community well. And have state laws always been set up to promote that, or has that been one of the bigger challenges, that if you have to publicly bid a project, do you feel like the entities were able to select the contractor or the products that they wanted, or sometimes they're forced into choosing something they're not satisfied with?
Sometimes they're forced. If they have a good relationship with their architect and maybe a local contractor, they can draw those specs up to get the product they want and the quality they want, but not always. It just depends on the situation, the county, how professional, how large the county is. So.
Okay. And Dr. Lynch, as an educator for so many years, what challenges did you see? And then guiding other educators through your work at TOS, what challenges did you see in purchasing decisions in the state of Tennessee?
Well, and kind of expanding on what Mark said, one of the reasons that we wanted to bring Mark in and to our Tennessee team was because I had watched him for years work alongside our finance director in Hamlin County in Morristown, and saw the trust that she had in him. And we wanted to be able to obviously share that across the state through Mark's leadership and guidance with other city and county officials. But from director of schools or a superintendent for almost 20 years, it's about relationships and building with your funding body, first your school board, mm-hmm. and then trying to build that relationship and trust with your funding body was critical. And funding in every state, I'm certain is always it's difficult, mm-hmm. because it's limited resources. And Tennessee is probably one of those states absolutely has limited resources. So you're usually looking for the cheapest, and it's usually not the best. And so to try to build a relationship with someone who you felt that you had trust with, mm-hmm. was very, very important. And so that was something that we were always about. And I was fortunate, there's not many, when you look at the years that superintendents serve, it's usually not 20. And so it takes a long time to build trust. And so I was fortunate to have a board of education and a funding body that would allow us to do projects. But even in that time, even again in the number of years that I was there, it was always limited resources.
Understood. So you are both very familiar with purchasing cooperatives. They've existed in the state of Tennessee for many years. Purchasing cooperatives basically give contractors the ability to bid on a contract and be awarded, and that contract can be used for a period of time to apply to government entities. And up until recently, the most recent legislative session, purchasing cooperatives in the state of Tennessee were not allowable for any kind of construction projects. Is that correct, Mark?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we've recently seen legislation go into effect that granted the right to use a purchasing cooperative, a state-approved purchasing cooperative, for all construction projects. Do you feel like that's going to be beneficial for state entities in the state of Tennessee?
Oh, yes. I think that would be very helpful for counties and cities and school districts to get the product they want at the price that's been bid and meet the state requirements. I think it'll speed up the process. I think it will get them a better product, like I said. I also think it will help the vendors over the period of time get better at dealing with the counties, because some of them are not very open to bidding. So this way the county will have more options to look at.
Absolutely. Some of your rural schools where they really don't have good selection of
Exactly.
contractors or systems available, this gives them the option to tap into a network that's been developed with a purchasing cooperative and select really good contractors. And like you said, get the system that they want. If I'm a superintendent or a city administrator in the state of Tennessee and I'm just kind of maybe old school, and I say, no, we like the public bid process. That ensures that we're getting exactly the price point that our district deserves. What would your response to that versus a purchasing cooperative be?
I would tell them to look into a cooperative purchasing, see what benefits they think they can get from it. I think most of that would be administrative time they will save. A lot of the bid process has already been done for them. Speed up the process as far as getting the roof installed or whatever they're doing, turf, plumbing, whatever they need. I think it'll just speed up the process, help them get a contractor they trust, and help them in the whole process.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So TIPS, the interlocal purchasing system, is actually an approved purchasing cooperative in all of the states we work in, and really 48 states out of the nation. It's just recently that it was opened up so that purchasing cooperatives like TIPS could be used in the state of Tennessee for construction projects. So, Dr. Lynch, does that position schools to have really an advantage in that process where they get what they want and they, like Mark said, speed up that process? Do you see this as an advantage?
Public Chapter 98. I've been waiting to say that because that's what just passed.
Okay.
And, that is what allows us to be able to use cooperative purchasing. And without question, this is going to help school districts. And because of the fact of, Tennessee is one of those states where most counties, most city governments have relied on the low bid, which is usually not always the best bid, and it's usually not. And so this is going to allow that opportunity for that school system to be able to go to that trusted network of contractors through the cooperative purchasing. So we're very excited about the change in the legislature.
It is exciting. And we believe that it will really help the state of Tennessee in making sure that they have best-in-class service, best-in-class products. We have a heavy emphasis on loss prevention, where we want to protect schools, and this is a big part of it, allowing them to purchase the systems that actually protect them the most. We see the storms are getting more and more frequent, more damaging, more catastrophic. They're moving further east. We're seeing hail and tornadoes and flooding in Tennessee that we've never seen before. Don't you agree?
Oh, yes. We had a hurricane. Damage in East Tennessee. So, yes.
I shouldn't laugh about that, but it's crazy to think about a hurricane affecting the state of Tennessee and it flooding up into Kentucky. It's been pretty damaging over there. Mm-hmm. And so a purchasing cooperative gives school districts and government entities an option. It gives them a path that they can actually pursue to tap into, like you said, Dr. Lynch, a network. Mm-hmm. Purchasing cooperative contractors are vetted, all of their credentials checked. You have to have adequate bonding. You have to have proper licensing. You have to have proper financials, and you actually have to bid on the contract. So the purchasing cooperative has actually taken the process away from the school having to do it, and they've already bid the contractors. And then there's a price verification system that once a project is awarded, before anything moves forward, the pricing that the contractor has offered is vetted against or compared against an estimating program that ensures it's in compliance. That's for the protection of the schools. That's for the protection of the city and county government entities. Do you feel like the schools have an advantage in that as well?
Oh, yes. I mean, that's a lot of work on their small staffs. A lot of school systems, especially small ones, only have one or two people in their finance office. So that takes a lot of that burden off of them. And it meets state requirements. I mean, every one of those steps, as long as it's documented for the auditors and for the public, it's covered.
And you were one of those auditors.
I was.
You went into the schools and you looked through their files and you said, this is in compliance or this is not in compliance.
Correct.
So now that the state of Tennessee, and you said it's Chapter 98, is that
yes,
correct? So
Public Chapter 98.
Now that Chapter 98 is rolling in Tennessee, and we're excited about that, you feel like schools are going to be able to adopt it and understand it fairly quickly so that the auditors that are filling your shoes now, they can go into a clean file and understand the school has followed protocol. They followed Chapter 98.
Yeah, statute's very specific on what the school systems have to do or the entities have to do. They have to accept that master agreement, join the cooperative, and then document each of those steps you mentioned. As long as they do that, they should be fine.
Excellent.
They should cover it.
Well, we've seen tremendous benefit from purchasing cooperatives in the state of Texas. We have many districts across the state of Texas that use cooperative purchasing for construction. We've seen it in Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, and now Tennessee. So it's an exciting new development. And I think that we're going to have more and more schools that step up and say, you know what, this is a better way of doing things. Do you wish you had had this when you were superintendent, Dr. Lynch?
Absolutely. I know our finance department would for sure too. And, I think the next steps, and I think TIPS is doing a very good job with this. For instance, the price verification system you talk about, it's going to be educating those school districts and educating those folks to make sure that they understand what this cooperative purchasing can do for them. So yes, this would have saved a lot of valuable time, and we used cooperative purchasing before, so our employees were used to that, but we didn't have that opportunity when we were trying to build or have projects built.
Well, it's an outstanding development, and I think we're all going to see the benefits of it for years to come. And ultimately, what we want to see is that it betters the school systems. We want to see better roof systems put on. We want to see more flexibility in purchasing decisions from decision makers. And I believe that's exactly what it does. So, Mark, tell me, if I'm a school district in the state of Tennessee, what purchasing options do I have? Public bid, now purchasing cooperative. What else is there?
The other option would be a piggyback off of a bid that's been let within the state of Tennessee. It works very similar to the cooperative purchasing, but there is a separate statute that allows you to buy the like item at the same price that had been through the bid process in a local entity.
And that's a very specific mechanism that's kind of difficult to achieve. All the stars have to align to pull it off. So cooperative purchasing really replaces that, if you will, to where they can select anything they want, and as long as it falls under that contract guidelines and price verification system, they've got a satisfactory audit.
Yeah,
correct.
It expands their opportunities.
Okay.
But
what would you tell people from your experience, public bid versus using a purchasing cooperative? Where is that beneficial to a school to use a public bid process?
If it's a very detailed project that you want a very precise specification for, then the bid process might be the way to go. But normally, for most opportunities, it's going to be a cooperative. That's going to work very well. And most school systems, like Dr. Lynch mentioned, are already familiar with that. Okay. They've already used cooperative purchasing for various other items, cars, vehicles,
buses,
supplies. Things like that. The statute just excluded construction and construction materials, which has now been opened up on existing buildings. As long as it's a current facility you have, you can't use it for a new construction, but you can use it for existing facilities.
When you think about purchasing cooperatives, you might consider what it would do in new construction, but that's not really where the benefit is. The benefit is in working with single trade contractors and completing a roofing project or an HVAC project or an electrical project. They get to work with who they want, and so that pathway or that avenue has now been paved for everybody in the state of Tennessee. I think we're going to see great things come from that. Can you finance projects in the state of Tennessee? What are the laws there?
Yes, you can finance projects. Usually it's done through a bond issue or a note issue. Depends on the size of the project. Most bonds are millions of dollars at a time over a 30-year period. The benefits of a bond is you get a little lower interest rate over that 30-year period, but you pay a higher issuance cost, where if you do a local note through a bank, you can get a quicker project done, a smaller project. You may pay a little higher interest rate, but you have a lower issuance cost.
Well, Coryell Roofing has financing programs, in-house financing that we offer to school districts and city and county government entities as well. When would that apply in the state of Tennessee? When would, as a single trade contractor, if a school wanted to finance, schools can't take on debt in the state of Tennessee, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so how would that work if they wanted to consider an alternate financing path? And does that satisfy the contracting mechanism Or do you have to use a purchasing cooperative to select your contractor and then a separate agreement to finance a project?
It would be a separate agreement that would have to be in compliance with state statutes as far as debt issues. But yes, you could do that. That would be fine. In Tennessee, debt has to be secured by the authority, which is in most counties is the county government. The county commission has to approve the debt for the schools because there's only one tax rate. They're the taxing entity for the county.
And there are 3 different types of school districts in the state of Tennessee, correct, Dr. Lynch?
Correct.
Can you help me understand that?
Correct, yes. It can be a little confusing, but we have, of course, you have county school systems. And there's 95 counties in Tennessee, so every county we have a school system. But you also have city school districts within some of our counties, cities that have chosen to have their own school district. And then you also have special school districts that have a separate charter. And that charter has been allowed to happen because of decisions made at the state legislature. And so we have special school districts as well too. And then of course we have we have private schools in Tennessee and we have state charter schools in Tennessee. So there's a lot of different types of schools in Tennessee that we're trying to take care of all the students. But the area that I have spent most of my career in obviously has been in county school systems, but also working with city and special school districts as well too, because they are a part of our 147 that TALS has served, and also my work with AIMS, Association of Independent Municipal Schools too.
Okay. So of the 3 different types of schools, which is city, county, and special districts,
correct,
they all have their own requirements as far as satisfying state law or their own bylaws in how they take on debt if they have to. Some of it's approved by the city, some of it would be approved by the county, correct? And then a special school district, they would approve their own?
They would have a charter.
They would have a charter.
And based on what that charter says and what has been approved, their funding could be a little different than others.
It's fairly complicated, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And of the 95 counties in the state of Tennessee, there's 135 school districts? Is that correct?
There's 147 if you count city school districts and the special school districts and the county school districts.
But yet there's over 1 million students in the state of Tennessee. So these are fairly large districts, correct?
So, yeah, and we have, I think one of the advantages that we have in Tennessee is that we obviously, when you look at us compared to other states, 1 million students, but we only have 147 of our school districts, where others may have 400 or 500 school districts. I think that the ability to have smaller networks allows us greater flexibility to know what's happening, the good things that are happening, and in East, Middle, and West Tennessee in public education.
Okay. Mark, quickly, if a school district is about to make a purchasing decision with the new statute and all that's available to them, what would your recommendation be?
My recommendation would be look at all your options, consider a cooperative purchasing, look at the contractor, look at their product, look at their history, and then make a wise decision and get the product that you want.
Can you guide them through that?
I can.
Okay. So call Coriel. We'll get Mark involved and he'll help guide you through the process of making sure that you're making a quality purchasing decision. You're getting what you want, and you're satisfying state law.
Exactly.
That's great. Dr. Lynch, we know that we're in a strange time right now. The climate has changed. We're seeing more damaging storms. We're really trying to help Tennessee schools and beyond into a loss prevention situation. We're trying to prevent loss. We're trying to keep insurance premiums from just skyrocketing, even though they already have. We're trying to get them back in line. We're trying to make sure that schools just don't suffer. The worst possible thing would be that you have to make a decision between paying a teacher or paying your insurance bill. And if we don't build the right roof systems, that's decisions that administrators have to make. So if school districts across the state of Tennessee, or any other state for that matter, what would your recommendation be to them in considering working with a contractor? And what can Coriel do to help the schools in the state of Tennessee?
I've seen it firsthand.
Okay.
And I'm so proud to be a part of the Coriel family and the Coriel team. Mark just mentioned a few minutes ago about the hurricane that hit Johnson County. Within minutes, I was able to talk with the school superintendent, Dr. Michelle Simcox, and we were there immediately to help and assist. And we worked great with the insurance carrier there, and we worked hand in hand to make sure that the school district and the students were taken care of. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Coryell for the willingness to come into Tennessee, raise the standard, and certainly proud to carry that Coryell flag to all of our 147 school districts.
Thank you. We're proud to be in Tennessee in more ways than one. We love that state. So roof performance assessment are a common practice from Coryell Roofing, and I'm curious to know from your experience in working with districts all across the state, quickly tell me, why is it beneficial for a school to have a roof performance assessment done and create that baseline of what they have on their campus?
I think it's a powerful tool in strategic planning. A school superintendent, a facility director, director of operations can use the information that our team shares with them, provides obviously high quality photos, drone footage, all the things that they need to have in making decisions, not for just this upcoming year, but also long-term, 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
So long-range planning,
Absolutely.
Roof performance assessment, basically come out, assess your facility. Does it cost the district anything to do that?
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't. We do that to build a relationship and to be a resource to the districts.
It's a great investment.
Here you have it. The resources, the authorities from the state of Tennessee, these guys have poured their life into helping government entities, schools, counties, municipalities. And we're just honored to have them as a part of our team, and we're honored to be able to share a little bit of that knowledge from Tennessee and the other states that are affected by storms and need proper solutions. So thank you for joining us on another episode of Coryell Roofing Setting the Standard. Bye-bye.